welcome to another one of our Digital Marketing Answered podcasts. I'm really happy to be talking to Stacy Jones today, and we're going to be talking about Hollywood sells, how brands can get results with celebrities and placements. And Stacy is a friend of Innovation Visual, but to give you a bit of background about Stacy, Stacy is the founder and CEO of Hollywood Branded. They're an award-winning multi-million-dollar creative agency that enhances storytelling by integrating brands with pop culture-driven content, celebrities, influencers, and over their 16-year journey, they've crafted and created impactful relationships, bringing those stories to life for over 250 brands. That's a lot of brands, Stacey. They include BlackBerry, Bumble, Pilot Pen, Ralph Lauren, to name a few. And so the marketing strategies that they build, the tactics include leveraging celebrities, social media influencers, product placement, licensing, even co-branded promotions. And it's all about building partnership for brands with TV, with film, music, fashion, gaming, even Meta and other platforms, and really anything that shapes pop culture and drives sales. Stacy and her team are all over. And finally, we should also mention that Stacy is in the media. She's a Forbes contributor and she's frequently interviewed by media outlets around the globe. We know of one that she was doing only yesterday for a UK TV company. And Stacy also hosts the podcast Marketing Mistakes and How to Avoid Them. So a very big welcome to Stacy. Thank you very much for joining us.
I am so happy to be here, Tim. So thank you for having me.
Good. Well, we've got a lot to talk about today. So can we dive straight in? And could you tell us a little bit more about the professional journey that you've been on and actually what inspired you to start Hollywood Branded?
Sure. So I was a theater production major in college a very, very long time ago, where I ended up focusing on scenic design, which who's ever going to do something like that besides actually going into the world of theater or going into the film and you're designing on set? Well, somehow today I've landed up in a place where it's come in very handy and it's helped me make millions of dollars for our agency. So back in the day, I came out to Los Angeles after graduating college. I worked my way in some various jobs as a production assistant and on the production crew of different series and events, and landed in a product placement agency, which I ended up running for over a decade, and left once I hit that proverbial glass ceiling and
Yep.
started Hollywood Branded, which was just a little over 16 years ago now. And what we're doing is a little different than what has been done before. We really are um, a house where we blend in all aspects of pop culture for brands. So our clients are looking for opportunities for product placement in movies and TV shows and music videos, or celebrity endorsement campaigns, or influencer marketing, or how to get on the red carpet behind all of those really hot events that are out there. And then even going into the world of fashion and sports and gaming, all things that are entertainment based.
Wow. I mean, where do you start when somebody comes to you and they say, "Hey, this is our product, this is our brand, Stacy, what can you do?" Or do they come to you with something already in mind and you have to manage those expectations?
Well, on occasion, we'll have people come in and they say, I read about this movie. We really want to be in it. And that's pretty rare, but that does happen. Usually, someone comes in and says, "This is our brand. We have an awareness problem. We have a new product that we're trying to launch. We are trying to get more attention." All of those things that are wanting them to have a little bit more buzz. Right now, traditional advertising is what I would deem is a bit of an insanity cycle, right? So as a brand, you go in, you pay a lot of money to create media, you pay to actually produce the content. You put that content out, and let's say it's a television ad. You
Yeah.
run that ad, and it runs one single time. You buy lots of them in the bunch,
Yeah.
but you run it one time. And in the United States, one ad on primetime television might be $300,000, $400,000 to run for that 30 seconds. So it's a lot of money that you're investing, and
Yeah.
it's gone. Poof, it goes out. Now, what happens to all those people who are sitting at home, who are fast forwarding through their television, who go and take a bathroom break right in the middle of it, who are
Yeah.
sitting down and they're just not focused on the ads? Because most of the time, most you don't really want to watch
Yeah.
ads unless they're really
No.
well done.
Yeah.
And so we offer a very innovative solution for brands where we can get them embedded into the content that their fan base and consumers are watching in their target market. And then we can also work to create really cool extensions from this, where maybe they do want to do a TV ad. And I'm not someone to say that TV ads are bad. They are, they
Yeah.
serve a point, but they need to be engaging. And one of the
Yeah.
greatest ways to do that is find something that your user base actually is interested in and extend it out. So create an ad using celebrity, create an ad using content from the film that you have a partnership with, expend that and do a social influencer campaign overlay, add in PR. Take this and bring the cool things that we're doing and add it to the brand's trade show marketing plans. Look at it for their out of home advertising. Look at it for all the different things that they're doing. Because really, at the end of the day, what we're doing is we're producing creative,
Yeah.
innovative ideas that people can wrap around and build stronger ad campaigns with.
Right. So what you're actually saying is, you guys as a team, it's not a one stop, like, oh, we're gonna get we're gonna get this person wearing your watch, let's say, on in this film. It's actually all the things that you can get off the back of that. So it's like the snapshots of the movie, the stills that you can use then in the actual exhibitions you were talking about, the out of home adverts. All of a sudden, you've actually got a whole connected chain
Mhm.
of
You go
putting
exactly.
those that products in there.
Yeah, you have a whole marketing campaign. If you guys watched the Oscars, every year Rolex is one of the major sponsors of the Oscars, and they do something that I think is extremely smart and savvy. They will cut one or two different commercials of all of their product placement moments through the years of the history of Rolex in every major film, adorning all of these different famous faces' wrists. And they'll run that.
Ah,
So it shows their heritage as well. And that's what's really cool about product placement. It allows brands to show the now in the modern day. It allows them to show their historical authenticity when they're shown in period pieces. And it
yeah,
even allows a brand to show what they might look like in the future when we have something that's a little bit more sci-fi.
right. So it gives it real longevity in terms of what you're doing. It's something which can really last, as you talk about that spend from a TV advert,
Yeah.
$300,000, poof, it's gone in those 30 seconds. Whereas the investment in these kind of campaigns, it's actually something that, if you're smart, like Rolex in your example, can actually keep returning investment to you and returning revenue to you for that money that you put in.
Well, you don't even have to be smart like Rolex because any brand who does product placement is going to have this lasting opportunity to be on screen for the next decade. So I worked on Seinfeld as an example
Yeah,
and Friends long time ago, over 20 years ago, right?
yeah,
But at night, those are two of the shows that my husband likes going to bed with, and he'll run the TV on, and there it is running. We have Law and Order also. And
yeah,
I will see all of the blackberries that we put in every episode of Law and Order. Granted, the
yeah,
brand's not around anymore. The show
yeah,
now has outlasted the brand, but I'll
yeah,
also see Kellogg's and Post who will show up in Seinfeld's apartment. Or I'll see, I did this really cool campaign with Freightliner, the big tractor trailer, where Jason Alexander almost got mowed down when he stole the Frogger machine and was trying to take a dash across to keep his winning record. And then all of a sudden, this truck barrels down the New York street, horns blaring, and
yeah,
smush, the whole thing blew up. Well, I get to see that front logo all of the time. The Matrix movies that we worked on, the
yeah,
anything that you can think of in Hollywood, these movies, these TV shows, they go into syndication, they go into re-air. First they go out theatrically or on your
yeah,
television, then they go into your airline, your hotel room, your they're sold into every country around the world to keep
yeah.
running. Then they're on your midnight television.
Yeah. And I was thinking, actually, yeah, it's interesting you said about going into every country because so many more brands now are going global in a lot of ways. The ability, the logistics to go global with a brand is actually becoming much more easy for some,
Yeah.
especially obviously we've got so many digital brands now, digital only. Doesn't matter what country you're in, if it's digital, you can access it typically. So yeah, these brands get that huge international spread as well as the length. So um how how can you, other than just say, hey, I've seen the Freightliner logo again, or I've seen the Blackberries again, how do you measure success? So how, when you're talking to clients, do you say, okay, this is the campaign, this is what we've done? Because I've seen some different ways PR's been measured, but I imagine um, it'd be interesting to understand how you measure.
Sure. So there's a couple of different ways, but very much like PR, because this is a brand awareness play. It can be a sales driver, but really what you're doing is you're changing your brand reputation. You are making your brand more cool by being in content. You are showing that you have a legit enough company that stars and a director have signed off in order to have cast into that role. Because every brand can't just show up on screen. There's a massive process to sell it in and actually get those stakeholders who are going to either be saying, I am going to stand behind the camera and shoot this as the director, or the actor who's saying, I'm willing to have this in my presence, I'm willing to be associated with this. So you're getting an
Yeah,
implied celebrity endorsement from it. So
yeah,
looking at those, we run and we use so many different software services, hundreds of thousands of dollars of data insights that we're able to get. But at the end of the day, really what matters is it's impressions and, if you want, a CPM. And this is the only advertising practice that has a declining CPM with continuing to grow impressions than anything I've
wow,
ever seen out there.
that's impressive. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, it makes sense. It's interesting you say about having to sell the brands in to the movies. I know in the UK, there was a Bond movie where all of a sudden Bond was driving BMWs, and there was a real hoo-ha about the fact that Bond was climbing into a BMW and not, as had been tradition, Aston Martin. So how much selling of the brand do you have to do to get into these placement opportunities?
Well, just like BMW, think about Heineken also had the same thing. So you have to sell in a lot. And really, what you're looking at is the mutual benefit. Everything that we do has to be mutually beneficial. There's three reasons why productions work with a brand. The first is trade. They need to be able to make their scene look more real. They need to be able to have authenticity. They need to have brands that represent the scene or the characters to help paint that picture. When you have James Bond walking down the street, you know him from his suit, you know him from his Omega watch, you know him from the high end cars he drives, whether it's BMW or another. You know that this is a man who has the best of the best. So you're going to want to associate brands that are real in that world of best and the best. And productions don't necessarily want to have to go out and rent or purchase or buy all of these different things. They don't want to have to go out and finagle through different brand managers and find the phone number and call them up and say, hey, would you like to send me some free stuff? That's why agencies like ours exist, because we get in the scripts, we read them, we break them down, we look for the opportunities of finding those mutual benefits of trade. But we also are looking for those options where there's another mutual benefit, and that is cash. Productions like getting money, and that doesn't mean that they're making millions of dollars off of product placement deals, and they're not. There is no money at the end of the day going home in anyone's back pocket. All of that money goes back into the film: better special effects, better lighting, better actors, better music, whatever it might be. It makes just the content a little bit better. That's it, the benefit of it, and that brings a benefit to the consumer too. And then the last way is that co-promotional partnership. And that's where BMW and Heineken won. And that's how they were able to get in. Sure, the production needs cars. Sure, the car production needs some sort of
Yeah,
alcohol, because actors like having something to hold and it helps tell a story. Having a
yeah,
bottle going up to your lips or a glass, that's part of that story.
yeah,
But the co-promotional media dollars that these global brands can bring, where they're taking their already planned media. So maybe they're planning 10 million, or maybe like with Heineken, it was a $50 million media commitment on a global level, where they're taking the IP of the film, they're bringing it into their world of advertising, they're bringing it into their retail settings where it's on pack, so that you're now seeing something that's co-branded.
Yeah.
You're at dealer for BMW, you have behind the scenes cool content, you have screening series for the customers who are BMW enthusiasts. You can show the number of eyeballs, the impressions, the impact that you're going to, as a brand, be able to bring the film through your
Yeah.
own media dollars. And that is a tremendous benefit. And that's why they went with BMW.
Right. Okay. That's really interesting. I didn't think about it the other way around in terms of the brands effectively advertising the film by putting it on the packs at the
Yeah.
point where it's about to go to premiere, and everybody's talking about it and the buzz, and you see the special packs, you see the promotional adverts, out of home or in store and things like that. So yeah, really really interesting. I mean, the is this all happening at the very top level, like at these big Hollywood movies, or what happens, like, should we say lower down the food chain? Because not everybody's got Heineken's 50 million, advertising media spend budget that they can commit. Are there opportunities for lesser brands, and how does that work?
There's actually more opportunities for brands that are not traditional advertisers, because when you're looking at different content, even in the UK, right, with the BBC, there are limits on what is allowed to be on air. With BBC, you have to have a call out that this is a brand, that it's being seen in the scene and as a moment, and there's dollars that have been actually paid for this. Now, if you're a brand who does not do advertising, you don't have really a lot of millions of dollars to be spending, you approach it through, how can you help make the scene more authentic? If you're a product line that is a beverage or a food, how can you provide product to craft services so the production doesn't have to pay for more things? How can you do things in a trade and a loan basis that enhances the production, brings them a value that they need, and you still are able to be there to look authentic and make that scene look more real? And when those product placement trade opportunities happen, there's a far less reporting that is required. And that's across all of the countries throughout Europe, and then and beyond. Like, even if you're watching now, like a Netflix or a Disney, you'll see, because of globalization of content, a lot of times you'll see, this film has product placement warning,
Yeah.
signs on that. And the reason they do that is there are dollar partnerships. It's not trade partnerships,
Okay.
because with the trade partnerships, no one's really making money from that. And the brand's getting a nice enhancement. The production's getting some cost savings and some authenticity. But it's once
Yeah.
there's actually media dollars that are being spent that the
Yeah.
powers of be get concerned about it.
Okay. Okay. So if you've got something that the production want to trade, then you can then say, well, use my products, or rent my products for free, but
Yeah.
you need to make sure that our logo's on that when you go through. Okay.
Exactly. And when you're doing the loan, there's a lot less control that you have of it, right? So if you're actually paying media dollars, you're paying real dollars, you have a lot more ability to control the messaging, to ask for verbal mentions or specific things to be said, or to say, please make sure that the brand, I can see the logo at this angle, and
Yeah.
that, when there's dollars or there's something higher at stake for the production, they're stopping filming. They're stopping about a crew of 250 people or more from doing
Yeah.
anything besides focusing for not just few minutes, sometimes a few hours, on what they're trying to capture. And so when you think of like a big feature film that has a movie budget of anywhere from 50 million to 250 million dollars, that's expensive time to stop. So the
Yeah.
filmmakers really have to see the benefit of what they're getting, that there's going to pay off. So again, is that going to be dollars that's being paid off, or is that something that's media? But we've worked with a lot of brands who are more on a B2B basis, and where they're what they bring to the filmmakers film won't even be able to get. You see this with a lot of military gear. You see this with camera and technology and electronics. You see this with planes. You see this with location shoots and tourism destinations where a production might go in and film at a resort, but not have to pay to be there. And the resort in exchange is getting that branding moment and they're able to
Yeah.
use the collateral. And there's a benefit. Everything in my world comes down to establishing mutually beneficial
Yeah.
partnerships.
Yeah. Sometimes there's not a benefit on locations. If you've heard about the location of some of the UK films and Saltburn, the owners of Saltburn are quite upset now with how many people are appearing on their land,
Yeah.
uninvited, should we say, to look at that. But really
Well, no,
interesting.
that's true. Like, I'm going to totally interrupt you right now, but think about Game of Thrones, right?
Ah,
So they, and like, that's a really excellent example where you have entire cities, Croatia. There's a whole city that they have had to tamp down on all of the people who are coming and stampeding through now because they were such a massive location shoot. And people are like, wow, that's so unbelievable. It's gorgeous. I want to go there.
go there.
And so location shoots drive tourism to
Yeah.
incredibly crazy degrees. Sometimes too much than the city
Yeah.
can actually handle.
Yeah, yeah. Even in Northern Ireland, there's a road in Northern Ireland used on Game of Thrones with the trees on it, and that started to become a problem because everybody would park up and take photos, and it's a very narrow road, and they couldn't do it. Um, Really interested talking about the practicalities there. Just taking it back to the consumer part, why do you think that people, the consumers, so receptive to like celebrity messages and placements?
Well, do you ever watch a movie and you're engrossed in it, and then someone picks up a can and it says beer? And you know it looks kind of like Budweiser. Yeah, the colors are there, but it just says beer. So that's something that's called a Greeked product. And when those start showing up too much, it actually takes you out of the scene. What you
Right.
want as a consumer to be sitting on your couch, staring at the screen or in the movie theater, and be immersed in the audience. I mean, immersed in what you're watching as an audience member, like that you could actually step into the screen and be there and it would be real. So it's not that brands make it more reassuring, but they bring it more to life. They make it more authentic and they make this scene legit. And you have to remember that you have set decorators and designers who that's their goal, to make their scene look as real as possible. And then as I mentioned before, you need brands to help sell in who a character is. You need a Mont Blanc pen. It's not going to be a Bic pen. It's going to be a Mont Blanc if it's a major lawyer who's hand signing a deal. So there's these moments there that a brand enhances the character and actually helps storytell.
Okay. But on the other side, the viewer watching the
Mhm.
movie, yes, they don't want to be taken out of the immersive experience, but how much influence actually is there over their real buying decisions? I mean, how you I know it's a brand influence thing, but brand should influence towards that buying journey.
Well, I will say this. So Meghan Markle and Harry are now shooting a new series. That's a polo reality show. And she showed up for day one of the shoot this weekend, and she was wearing this vanilla dress because now they're saying she dresses in vanilla, and she looked stunning. The dress sold out in less than an hour
Okay.
just from the publicity shots covering the shoot. So people want to look and dress like those they see as idols on screen. People see things and think, oh, that is cool. I want that. It's more than just subliminal. People will be driven to purchase because they see it. Product placement's the same as any sort of advertising. You know,
Yeah.
there's a saying that you have to see an ad 7 times. And this was actually made up by ad agencies back in the day. Someone came up with this brilliant thing to
That was
sell
so
more
that
ads.
yes, sell 7 ads at $300,000 a time rather than just the
Exactly.
client.
You have to buy all 7 in order to make it work.
Yeah,
But that's true to a degree, right? I don't know
yeah,
what the frequency is, and there's been
but
so
yeah,
many studies out there, but there is a frequency that you need to be exposed to a brand, to a product in order to have it register in your mind. We see anywhere from 6,000 to 10,000 on the low end of ads every single day. You're driving down the street, you're seeing billboards all over the place, you're looking at your screen, you're seeing pop-ups all over, you're getting email inbox, you're watching TV. That's a lot of area to wade through to stand
yeah,
out in. So we know that this type of thing actually registers in people's minds because products sell out frequently or just because they're cool. We did a partnership with Mean Girls with Pilot Pen that just recently came out.
yeah,
And with that, we had placement in the film, but then we also cut a commercial using the footage from the film and shot some extra and put that out for media. Then we also launched a limited edition pink Pilot Pen pack on Amazon, sold out on day one.
wow,
We created a social influencer overlay campaign. We added in press to it. We did all of these different things to bring it to life, and it worked. Their sales actually not just like blipped up, like they soared up. And they
yeah,
had some of the highest, affinities to the commercial tune in. Like people like this. It's the world of celebrity. It's sexy, it's
yeah,
cool, and it's something that everyone in our influencer laden world today has kind of an interest.
yeah. It's I like what you were saying about the cut through because ads, I think that unless you inspire somebody with an ad or it's really engaging or really personalized so it really resonates, it can just wash over you. And I suppose
Mm.
watching that TV show or watching that movie, it's it's not that you're being sold to, it's just that you're saying it's aspirational. So you're often these are aspirational brands, even if it's an aspirational drink. It doesn't have to be, seeing the baddest black Range Rover, which they always say Range Rover must definitely target films to say, can
Yeah.
we be the baddest cars? Us.
They do very specifically, and there's a reason for it. So, Range Rover and Jaguar do not have the media dollars that a BMW or Mercedes does, but that's who their market is that they compete against: Audi, BMW, Mercedes. So, most of the times, brands are like, I want to be with the hero, I want to be with the good guy.
Yeah,
Someone at Jaguar Land Rover, so back in the day, obviously, as part of BMW as well, they said,
yeah,
you know what? We're okay being the villain. We're okay showing our sexy machines at high speed, out
yeah,
racing, taking the gunshots, jumping over hills, going through the mountains. We're okay with that because we've carved out our niche, and there's a mutual benefit to the production because they need to have vehicles for bad guys too. And
yeah,
so when the production can say, hey, BMW, hey, Mercedes, you're fine. You can be with the good guys. We have someone else covered for the bad.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Because it would be weird if they're all in the same brand as well. So
Well, there's just
that's
only,
another thing.
well, it's what can they bring to the table to compete.
Yeah,
So they'd have to bring a lot more dollars to the table. They'd have to bring more co-promotional partnerships and media to the table. So
yeah,
they've actually been able to get billions and billions of impressions that keep on reoccurring by taking the
yeah.
stance of, okay, we're all right with being with the bad guy.
So, Stacey, yeah, you've talked a lot about placements within like movies and TV shows. What about the pure play celebrity kind of endorsement, or or maybe not just celebrity but also social media? What's really happening around that?
There's so much opportunity here. So when influencers came into the space, which was back in about 2007 when I started this agency, that's when you started seeing Kim Kardashian stepping in and Paris Hilton and the reality stars. It changed the game with celebrity endorsement. Celebrity endorsement, it used to be that you would see very A-list celebrities who had glorious packaging shots on an ad maybe they were representing a product, but it wasn't really very much so involving the celebrity. It was just, here's the celebrity in the TV spot. And you still see it like a Brad Pitt and luxury fragrances and jewelry, and it depends on the category. But what you see more so now is brands who are hiring a celebrity to not just be the face of the brand, but to actually engage their fan base. So celebrities have had to change in the last 20 years, where they had to not say, oh, I'm not going to do the social influencer thing, because if they did not build up their social platforms with Instagram or Facebook or TikTok, they would not be making as much money, not only from brand deals, but also from the movie productions, because they're looking at making sure their celebrities are also a marketing machine who can help promote their own movies. So there's a whole new world out there of
Oh,
how they cast, and it's very different from the yesteryears. We don't have the Tom Cruise, the Angelina Jolie, the Brad Pitts now. It's a very different world. We have people who are being cast quite frequently because they also have a social media base in movies or in TV shows. It's part of the marketing matrix. So brands are looking for this also. We just launched earlier in February a really cool campaign with DJ Khaled, known throughout the world, right, for his music artistry.
yeah,
And he is partnered with our client Orezi. And Orezi is the world's first gold standard in luxury oral care. So
wow,
with that, we have gold toothbrushes, gold flake mouthwash, gold toothpaste, all of these very cool things that are luxury Latin. And DJ Khaled is the face of that. So there's, standard ads that have been cut. We did a production shoot, but the entire campaign is really built around Khaled's own platforms and how he's getting messaging out and how he's creating content and sharing that content through his social platforms. So that is what we're looking at now. And he also has a stake in the company. So the partnership world has changed. Celebrities are looking for equity positions. They're looking for a long gain with brands instead of just lending their face for a one and done campaign. They're looking for ways that they can actually build a brand and be part of that brand's lifespan. And you've seen little bits of it here and
yeah,
there with people playing with it and like, oh, Alicia Keys is our creative director, or Lady Gaga is now the chief, of Polaroid. Yeah, so you've seen like name
yeah.
plays on that, but what the new world that you're seeing is it's a celebrity's brand. They are part of the brand from the very beginning or when they enter in, and they're planning on staying part of the brand through the brand's life cycle and stage. So it's a different approach that's happening now.
That's incredible. I didn't realize that the celebrities were going through the whole, let's give me some equity here in the companies that they were working with. I knew that some of the celebrities who were creating brands, but not necessarily piggybacking on something as part of their deals, and it sounds really interesting, but it also sounds like sports earnings, that the pyramid is very tall for the very successful with the really big following. But what about those people? Because some people talk about social media influencers, like micro influencers, people with much smaller but more niche audiences. Where do they fit into this kind of mix? Is there still a place there?
Yeah, they're still fitting in as more of an amplifier. So there's different ways that you can look at working with a influencer. And you have your smallest nano influencers, your micro influencers, your macro influencers, up to a hyper or a mega to celebrity size
Yeah,
influencer. And there's different people in different niches that fit every single brand category one can come up with under the sun, as well as every price point. The smaller ones are going to be great content generation. They're going to be, producing something and literally putting on their I am an editor, a writer, the star. I am the photographer, the videographer. I am the set decorator. I'm the prop master. I'm the costume designer. I am providing you with a full production shoot for the $50 that you're paying me, and they're tiny potentially, but they create good content. And they
Yeah.
create good content that if you structure your deals right when you're working with influencers, you can have rights to that content and share it across your socials, on your website, or even through digital advertising. And there's even plays here where you can work with content creators instead of influencers, because a lot of people who are in the influencer world now want to be called content creators instead of
Yes.
influencers. But there's worlds that you can work with them without even being in their feed, and there's still a benefit. Or you can go into someone who's larger, and you're getting all of that. You're getting a more honed in, experienced content creator, but you're also getting someone who is now acting like they are the publisher of a magazine or a digital outlet. So they're controlling their space that you are advertising on, and they're creating the content. And so it's really an influencer or content creator is today's new media as far as that traditional of what we thought of with print and digital and quite a bit.
Okay, that's super interesting. What you were saying there, Stacey. Do you want? I mean, you've talked about somewhere there's some success. Do you want to? Everybody loves it when it doesn't quite go right. Have you got some stories that you can tell us of when people get the tie-up wrong? Because this is it's important to get these things right. That's what you do, isn't it? So
Yeah.
obviously you wouldn't have been involved in anything which went wrong. Wrong.
Oh, of course. No, we've never had any campaign of any type ever go wrong. I will actually tell you that every campaign goes wrong. Every single partnership you will ever build in Hollywood or with a celebrity or with an influencer typically is going to have at least a little tiny glitch because people are
Okay.
people, right? And this
Yeah.
is a creative process. And part of it is you have the brand who is very used to controlling content and producing a commercial that is scripted and exactly what they want it to be.
Yeah.
When you're working with Hollywood, or you're working with a celebrity, or you're working with an influencer, now you have someone else who has their own platform to be concerned about. They're less concerned about your brand platform. In fact, they're entirely concerned about their own brand and how they come off and how they are seen. And so there's always bits of misses that have to be worked through. And there's never been a conversation where some content creator of some levels like, of course, bring it on brand, everything you want. That's what I want. And then it's just not real. So that's, we put out fires. My job is a firefighter, honestly. That comes up quite frequently with the world that we are. It's just part of what's the first thing that's going to
Yeah.
go wrong here. Let's figure it out.
Yeah.
But we either have seen the mistakes, or my team itself has screwed up so many times in their own little ways that over my almost 27 years of this industry, at least I know where all the roads are that you should not go down, or where the
Yeah.
potholes are along the way. And so that's where we have value. Um, think about on the celebrity side. You are a Jeep
Yeah.
and you hire a celebrity and you release a Super Bowl commercial. And you then find out that your Super Bowl commercial talent got a DUI and didn't tell you about that.
Yeah. That's not
So
so good.
that's not so good. And that's what happened with Bruce Springsteen. So
Oh.
that's legit. That really happened. Bruce
Yeah.
Springsteen neglected to say between the time he signed his celebrity endorsement deal and by the
Yeah.
time that it actually aired that he had one night that went a little off the rails.
Wow.
And that was something that is massive. You lose the
Yeah.
money. There's all sorts of things that come into it. This type of thing happens not frequently, but
Yeah.
it's enough so that you want to not put all your eggs in one basket in any
Yeah.
partnership that you're doing. And you always want to come up with a crisis plan in case something happens and how you're
Yeah.
going to approach it.
Yeah.
And it can be anything, it's the Me Too movement has been something that has been very hard on brands where they're like, oh, I was associated with that person and that person and that person.
Yeah.
So that happens. And you have
Yeah.
to figure out as a brand how you're going to communicate that, how you're going to distance yourself.
Yeah.
But that's just the reality. It doesn't happen all the time, but it
No.
can happen.
I
Um,
suppose
you
it's a
have,
risk and
mhm,
reward, is it not?
it
Because
is.
you're taking this opportunity, as you say, this great falling CPM,
Yeah.
expanding actual impressions. You want to make the most of it. In business, it's
Mhm.
often a risk and reward. And I was reading only this week in Adidas's figures that they're talking about having to write down a further $200 million worth of product that's going out at cost from the Kanye West thing, and that's
Yeah.
not all of it. That's the leftovers that they'd already disposed of it. So I suppose massive reward could mean massive risk with some of these tie-ups.
And they made billions of dollars. And then they lost millions or hundreds of millions of dollars. So over the lifetime of that partnership, still delivered in reality. But he's a very good example of a hot topic of someone to maybe not partner with right now because the risks outweigh the rewards at the prime moment. Not going to
Yeah,
be forever. He's going to come back. He's going to figure things out. He'll get, all things like that he has going on and sharing with, and he's a creative artist soul that seemingly still has an audience space. But you have events, you have concerts where people have had accidents or been killed because of issues with, like, Travis Scott. You have things where brands have fleed overnight. You even have Martha Stewart, who back in the day was, a very, very proper woman of Martha Stewart. She's very proper, but
yeah,
now she hangs with Snoop and she's cool.
yeah,
So, people reinvent their brands along the way.
yeah,
Everything that we do, what I do, I specialize in perception. I
yeah,
specialize in helping brands massage the perception of how they're seen by being in different environments, either on screen in a television or a film, in the hand of a celebrity, or within the feed of your favorite social influencer. And it
yeah,
changes, and the perception works both ways. But most people are pretty smart today that they're not going to
mm,
be like, oh, well, you were touched by that person and they did this horrible thing. So now, ooh, you're bad. It's
yeah,
more so if the brand is owned or it has a large stake in it, that you have more of that cancel culture that might happen.
yeah, yeah. And I suppose the whole point of working with somebody like you, as you say, you are there with 27 years experience of making sure that things don't go horribly wrong, or knowing how to react when the wrong road
Yeah.
has been taken, or when bumps do go along the way. And that's the benefit of working with professionals that have got all of that experience and aren't just jumping on the sort of oh, we can help you with this bandwagon kind of thing. Um, um,
Yes.
I
What we
love
do, interns can definitely not do well.
yes, yeah. Um, I mean, I love that. I love that phrase, massaging the brand perceptions with those things. Um, I've taken up a lot of your time. I'm conscious of that. I think this is really fascinating. But in terms of um, taking this forward for those marketing leaders that are listening, and they've probably been getting quite excited about some of the things that you've been saying, that this is not just for the mega brands, this is for people of all different levels, that there's different ways of getting into it, whether it be actually getting on a show, or whether it be working with the right kind of people to create content or back up your brand. In terms of how should they start thinking about, if this is whet their appetite in terms of excitement, what should they start thinking about as to whether working, whether working with celebrities and placements is going to be right for them? What are those early things they should consider?
Yeah, so we do a deep dive, kind of a discovery strategy session with brands to help them figure this out. And one of the first things that we look at is that word I used earlier. How can the brand be of mutual benefit to the partner? What does the brand have to bring to the table? So you need to decide, do you have product? Is that the benefit? Is it something that's a cost savings that makes things more real? Is it something that people want? That's important. If you have something that people don't really care about, it's not going to enhance the scene. It's not going to excite a celebrity because they're not going on a cool trip or getting a cool experience. If you don't have an awesome car,
Yeah,
jewelry, bling, whatever it is that they
Yeah.
might like that you could do in trade,
Yeah.
then you need to move on and say, okay, what do I have to invest? What is the type of budget I actually am willing to invest into this? What type of dollars do I want to pull out for my marketing to do this? And within the world that we work in, there's a lot that we do in trade. And we can make almost any brand be beneficial, and we can find that mutual benefit and determine what that actually is. But that invest part is important to know if you have it or you don't have it. And then the other part is that amplify, and that's part of that mutual benefit as well. What do you bring to the table that you could amplify the partnership with, bring more benefit to the partner, bring more benefit like Heineken and BMW does with the Bond franchise? How are you going to be able to show up? What could you offer that would actually make them say, oh, wait, this is cool. I want to work with you. And it could even be like we do a lot with licensing. So we'll work with a movie or a TV show or a celebrity, and we'll go out to a brand manufacturer and we will create a new product line and launch it so that it comes together. So now there's a new thing where everyone's making money. You're getting the production who's happy because they have something that they have equity in. You're getting the celebrity who's happy because they have something they have equity in. You have the manufacturer happy because they have something that is cool that they can sell. So there's all these different ways of going down that path to actually make something happen for you that really will result in massive success.
Wow. I'm not going to ask any more questions because I think that that is the perfect end. Talking
Okay.
about it will result in massive success. You heard it first here from Stacy Jones. Stacy, I think that's brilliant. I found it really interesting myself. I hope the people on the podcast or watching on YouTube have also found it really interesting. There's going to be people that want to talk to you. So how do you want them to get in touch with you so that they're not stalking you on media that you don't want to be found on? So tell us how to connect with Stacy.
Well, you can actually always connect. And I'm happy to receive an email at Stacy, Stacy, at hollywoodbranded.com. You can also find me on LinkedIn under Stacy Jones. I got in there early, Stacy Jones. I managed to lock that one in. Not an easy
Perfect.
name. Lots of people have it.
Yeah.
Or you can always look at our website, and it has lots of ways to contact us at hollywoodbranded.com.
Perfect. Okay. Well, that's really good. I'll also make sure that though all goes on the show notes as well, so
Perfect.
everybody can get through there. Stacey, it just wraps up with thanking you for your time and your energy and knowledge. It's been great having you on.
Well, thank you. And thank you to all of your listeners. And seriously, if y'all have any questions whatsoever, just reach out. I'm happy to talk or connect you with one of our team members because this is what we do. We love it and we love sharing it.
Brilliant. Okay. Well, thank you all for your time and attention, those people watching and listening to another episode of Digital Marketing Answered. Remember to click the notifications, subscribe, and also leave us reviews and comments because it helps us get discovered by others. And if you've enjoyed it, please do let us know. And as Stacey says, get in touch with us. We'd love to hear from you as well. So thank you very much for listening and watching.